And there was writings on the garages of Howard Kendall with hangmans. I mean, he wasn't a popular person, but he turned all that adversity round and turned a decent team into a championship winning team. A little bit like what Brian Clough, you could argue, done at Forest. A lot of the players that won the championship and then went on and won the European Cup were already there at Nottingham Forest. But sometimes you need that magic dust to be sprinkled, and that might come from a player or the management or something just happening that clicks into place, and that team goes from strength to strength. And in modern times, that could be Arsenal, Villa.
Well, when you look at every mortal thing, what Howard Kendall did with Everton, first as a player.
Yeah.
Peter Reid, he bought with bad news.
Yeah.
Had a fabulous time at Everton. Andy Gray, as we all know, as Andy tells us, the story that he got all his medical records and he didn't take half of them up because obviously he said, I want to pass them. I want to pass him medical anyway. Mm-hmm. So there's two players, right? What had been written off and went on to achieve great things. And say in Andy's case, I mean, as a young player, he's won everything voted by the young players and the professional players, PFA awards. But Aston Villa, he'd had a decent career, but got injuries, went to Wolves, over 5 million, 6 million?
Yeah, 1.5 million, yeah, to Wolves.
But does score the winning goal in a cup final against my old club, Nottingham Forest, and then goes to Everton and achieves absolutely every mortal thing. Absolutely. Another great player, but in a sense, had bad injuries. So who's to say that he wouldn't have won a lot more? But I mean, I'll take Peter Reid. I think Arsenal and Wolves, when he was at Bolton as a young kid, were being talked about us being bought for a lot of money. People always say to me about the Maradona thing, listen, Usain Bolt would have got Maradona that day because he dropped his shoulder within a breath, he's gone,
Yeah.
So, but great careers for them, great careers for all the team. And Howard Kendall is one of the nicest men in football. Yeah. Make no mistake. I hear some players on about Cloughie. I hear some players going about Cloughie. I never saw him give anybody a rollicking, but I heard other players do that. I never saw I would give players rollicking, and that is true. Jack won't come in, Lonnie McManamy won't come in, they'd be throwing cups.
Different characters, weren't they?
They blamed everybody. They even blamed Bucky the Water.
Yeah.
But I can honestly tell everyone, I never saw him give anybody a bollocking. The worst I ever saw Cloughie, but he weren't the worst, because he whispered something into Ken Smales' ear, right? Ken Smales was the secretary at Nottingham Forest. When he came back with something in a brown envelope. He gave it to Burnsy. Burnsy put it in his pocket. Clough said to Burnsy, young man, Kenneth, get that out in your pocket, open it up and read it out. And I've told you the story before. He played the ball across the square ball. Cloughie wants you to pass it forward, not pass it backwards and sideways, but wants you to pass it forward. He didn't like it up in there, as this quote was, if God wanted you to play football in the clouds, he put grass on it. So when he read it out, Burnsy, for playing the ball across the goal, you've been fined £50. And that's the worst I've ever. I never heard Clough swear, and I never saw Clough drink.
Yep.
And I was there for 3 years, So, but Howard Kendall, and if regardless what anybody thinks, if I don't score the goal at Hereford and we get a draw up at because they hadn't won for a month when they pushed me back.
To listen to the rest of this podcast, you will need to subscribe to our Patreon site or Apple podcast site. Just follow the links on our Facebook page.